Hello, everyone. It's Tracy Matthews here, and I'm so excited to bring some special guests on the I'm saying on the show. We're not really on the podcast. It's just like a habit that I say. But I'm excited to have one of our grads, Susan Collick, on this live right now. And I'm here with Quay Flom, our customer support manager, our community support manager. I don't even know exactly what your title is, Quay, but she's basically
experience supervisor.
Customer experience supervisor is her official title, but it's changed like 3 times this last year because Quay's been promoted like 3 times legitimately. So, because she's such a rock star. Anyway, we are here today to talk a little bit about laying the foundation and Susan's experience, and to share a little bit more about what it's like being in the program. And for those of you who participated in the Marketing Makeover Challenge, you might have come to the Marketing Makeover Masterclass last night. Susan was one of our featured case studies on that masterclass, which was super fun. So if you're joining us, I see a bunch of people filing in. I would love to know what your name is, what your business is, and where you're calling in from. So you could just type in the little comment thread below, and we'll check that out. So I wanted to bring Susan on today because she had incredible results. I think, Susan, is this right? Am I remembering this right? You had a 440% increase in your sales from the time you started laying the foundation through now. That's been a couple of years, we'll be honest, like 2 years. So,
but
yeah.
Yes, through all my revenue streams, it was about 440.
That is incredible. So I want to congratulate you on that. And if you guys are watching, I think you should all congratulate her on that, because that is not an easy feat. And we also announced on the masterclass that we have some fast action bonuses for people who are early adopters and jump in now. And we just literally spent, Susan, you're going to be excited for this because you have lifetime access to the program. We just spent a year revamping the program. The new version of it is launching on February 1st. We are super excited about it because it's like literally like so up level. In fact, my executive coach said that I should be charging $5,000 for the program, but I still want to get as many people into it. So it is not $5,000. It's still a $2,000 program. And we're super excited about that. And we're offering $200 off if you join today, plus a bonus called the StorySelling Framework, which is an amazing framework that you can use to basically make a maker video, get amazing customer testimonials, and learn how to sell using stories, so you don't feel like you're all kind of stuck or whatever when you're like fumbling about what to say, to other people. I see Terry here. Terry's a grad. Terry, I'm so excited. We are really excited too for that new revamp. So I wanted to kind of dive in here and chat with Quay. And Quay, first I want to ask you, what are you most excited about for the new version of this program? Because you've been helping and diving in.
Oh my gosh. The new content, one of the most favorite parts, of course, is near and dear to my heart, is the customer service section. This is going to help you to better serve your customers and to be a really awesome chief visionary officer of your business. And so that is one of the really big parts I'm excited about.
And Quay, we wrote a ton of canned responses for people too, and like gave them a bunch of systems. And these are things that we've used that Quay has helped us develop and Flourish and Thrive. It's literally like swipe copy of different scenarios that you might experience in your business, and you don't really have to think about it. We're like giving you the answers. You can edit them a little bit to match like your tone and style and all the things. So really, like this upgrade has been designed to make your life easier and to help you actually get incredible outcomes. Because one of my favorite things, I was telling Susan in the little pre-show, we kind of were here about 10 or 15 minutes earlier. And I was like, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations on your huge increase. And the only reason why I do this stuff is because I literally love sharing success stories and case studies, because it's so fun for me to see people get amazing results. So with that being said, Susan, I want to welcome you again, and thank you for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. So tell us a little bit about your jewelry business.
Well, my name is Susan Collick, and I'm the owner and designer of Daisy Chains Jewelry. We are located in the greater Detroit, Michigan area. And I design rustic sterling silver and semi-precious jewelry that has an influence from nature as well as the world around me. And I cater to women who like jewelry that tells a story.
I love it. I love your cocktail line and your pitch too. You're like really crushing it. Amazing. So tell us a little bit about what your business was like before you started taking Laying the Foundation.
Oh my goodness. It was very chaotic. I am a graphic designer by trade. That's what I went to school for. I happened to take a metalsmithing class when I was in college. That was the extent of my interest in being a jewelry designer. I started Daisy Chains really by accident. It was, a walk into a bead store that turned into a hobby that my husband said, maybe we should do something with this because it's kind of an expensive hobby. Yeah. So in 2002, I made it an LLC and did all the paperwork. But really what I had, and I didn't know this at the time, but what I really had was a glorified hobby. It was really not a business. But because my sales would increase every year by small amounts, and I was still doing my day job. I still was an art director for a marketing firm at that time. I didn't really realize that I was in a hobby. I thought I just had this really cool side business. And then about 2008 is when my day job ended. I was a mother of 3 at that point, and that was what I wanted to be my focus as a career from that point on. In 2017, that was the year that I found your Jewelry Makeover Boot Camp.
Oh, yay! Yes, the Jewelry Makeover Boot Camp is so good.
And I found that on Facebook, just, going about my business of the day. Yeah. And I was getting ready actually to go on my trip to Arizona for my buying trip. It was the Tucson Gem Shows. So it was like February, end of January, early February. Yep. And I signed up for the boot camp, went and did all of the pre-event fun things that you do in the beginning of all of your classes, and met 2 women that I actually hooked up with at Gem Shows in Tucson, and they became my accountability partners.
Oh, awesome. So you had already been in Laying the Foundation at that point?
Yeah.
And you met 2 people there?
Yeah, and so we went through LTF together.
Oh, that's so awesome. So who was it?
It was Brittany Maxey and I'm going to blank.
Now I'm putting you on the spot.
Catherine, I can't remember her last name because I'm blanking. Right. But anyway, so Brittany and Catherine, they've been my accountability partners for a long time. And we're all we were and still are in very different places in our businesses. But it's really nice to know that, we've kind of been through it all together.
That's so amazing. I'm so bummed that the Gem Shows, I think it's bumped this year. The Gem Show's bumped this year. It's going later. Well, now that I'm moving to Arizona, I'm going to be able to go party at the Gem Show.
I'm so jealous.
I mean, it's not happening. I don't even know if it's happening this year. Maybe in April or something.
April. They bumped it to April.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what happened during the time so you decided to join us for the program in 2017. Mm-hmm. How are you selling your products at that time? Okay, so
80% of my business was really from art fairs. That was part of what made my business so chaotic. Not only did I have 3 kids under the age of 10 that I'm schlepping to all these fairs, but my revenue was based on probably the most unpredictable revenue stream you could possibly choose. So I never really knew from one show to the next what my numbers were going to be based on a lot of different factors like weather and crowds and heat and all of the things that we can't control. So that was, and my website was there, but it was really non-existent. It was just not a factor in my business whatsoever.
Okay, so you're schlepping at the art shows. Like I know a lot of people have this pain, and I know that also give me like a comment in the comments below if you've built your business just like primarily on art shows or events, because I know that last year this was like the big thing, right? Like what happens when all those events go away and you haven't set the foundation to make sales online and reach those customers right where they are on their couch. You know, that's part of the reason why we did this whole upgrade to laying the foundation, is that we really wanted to focus a lot more on teaching you the exact strategies to turn all your in-person customers, wholesale customers, or whatever it might be, and capitalize on the opportunities to be able to get those people to actually buy off your website. So your business kept growing over the years. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about how, like, where the transition and the shift happened?
Okay, so because my business was so cyclical, because I live in Michigan, I don't do art fairs all year round. So my sales were primarily between June and October every year. And then I'd have these dead months where, you know, I was trying to move forward, but I wasn't doing a good job of it. And I didn't really know where to put my time and energy. And then I would maybe pick up a couple in-person small indoor shows during the holidays. But with my kids so young, I mean, everything was just so chaotic, and really it came down to my business was running me and I wasn't running my business.
Yeah.
And so that's really where I was. And to make ends meet during those times that I wasn't in shows, I had to work a part-time job. So I went back to my graphic design as kind of a backup gig to make ends meet during those other months. And there was nothing happy about it. It was not a good situation, because I constantly felt like I was torn between what I really wanted to do, what I needed to do, and what I had to do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you had to go back to your job. Like you were kind of stressed out doing all the things, like, or get a part-time work in the interim. What kind of trend, like after you started taking the program, like what shifted for you? Like what were the things that you kind of were learning and implementing, and what shifted?
Well, okay, a lot of things shifted. Really, it started with, I mean, my main goal through taking the course was to get rid of my part-time job. I needed to move myself forward in that direction. And so the three things that I wanted to focus on were getting rid of the part-time job, getting the website into a place that I could rely on it for income, and getting my art fairs whittled down to just a handful of really good shows that I enjoyed going to, that I had a really big following at, and that I could, not travel so much, because it's just, when you spend your entire summer driving or working crazy hours to make for the next show, it's just that it takes a lot of the fun out of it. Yeah. So those are my three goals coming into the class. That's where I needed to be at the end. And during the class, module 1 kind of kicked my butt. It really, it was the most I had ever delved into what I wanted, why I wanted it, who my dream client was, that that was the most that I had ever thought about that. And it really kicked my butt. And so that was very pivotal. And it was interesting because by module 2, I was starting to feel extremely overwhelmed. Like there was just so much that I didn't realize I didn't know until I figured out that I didn't know it. So that was, I was starting to have a little bit of a meltdown. I was like, what do you mean you want me to implement module 2? I can't do that yet because I'm still working on module 1.
Well, the good news about that, Susan, is that we spaced out the program over nine modules now instead of 4. So we've taken a little bit of the intensity out of it, which is allowed for something much better to happen, because it's giving you a little bit more time to flesh it out. So that was part of the feedback we were getting. It's like, I mean, I do think that there is something to be said about like going all in and feeling like a little bit. And, you know, Quay is an LTF graduate too. I don't know if you know that.
We went through it at the same time.
Yeah. She won a scholarship, and then we were hiring for a customer service position, and she applied, and we're like, all right, we love members of our community to come work for us because they understand the community and they love it. They love the community too. So part of the reason that we did do that is to make the trainings a little bit more digestible and easier to get through, so that you're not having like panic attack.
Well, the thing was, you know, it was funny because I'm feeling all these emotions over here. Yeah. And I ended up, I had to get some job out, and I was at my desk, and I had my phone propped up in front of me so I could listen to your live that day. It was some Q&A. And one of the students got on and said, I don't know how I'm going to be able to implement. I'm like so far behind. How am I supposed to implement 2 when I haven't even gotten through 1? And I'm like, oh, that's me. That's me. I need the answer to this question. And you were like, it's okay. It's all right, because you're going at your own pace, and it might take you a month to get through module 1. And you need to be okay with that, because your business needs you to figure this out. And so it was just at that point I was like, okay, I got this.
Yep.
I've got it.
Totally. Well, that's part of the reason why we give lifetime access too, because everyone works differently. I'm like a binge everything. Like if I find a Netflix series, like I binged The Queen's Gambit in like 2 weeks. And I didn't even have time to watch it, but I was just like 20 minutes before bed or something like that, because I was like so obsessed. And like, I'm one of those people who wants to go through everything, learn all the concepts first, and then go back and like implement. But there's other people who want to I don't recommend that that's the best way. That's just how I like to do it. But there are other people who like to like methodically go through it. That's actually the best way, and to take your own time, because we deliver the format in a bunch of different formats, because I've realized as an adult that I actually am an audio learner. Like I'm not like reading, I don't retain as much information as when I'm listening and actually doing other things, like getting ready or doing things at the same time. And my brother actually makes fun of me. He's like, oh, you're one of those people who listens to audiobooks. I'm like, yes, of course. I live in New York City. Like the time that I can read a book is when I'm on the subway or like whatever. You know, I don't have time to sit down and read. And so part of the reason why we have it delivered in so many formats, transcript, video, audio, and workbooks and Cliff Notes, is to really cater towards people's learning styles. Because as an adult, I was diagnosed with dyslexia, and I didn't even know I had it as a kid. I just knew that I had to work really hard to understand when I was reading things, and that I would always like transpose numbers and stuff like that. And I didn't, and I was like, oh, it's just probably because I'm moving fast. But I realized later that it's actually because I'm dyslexic, and I was swapping things around. And I realized that a lot of people like probably are in the same boat, and they learn they learn in different ways. So I wanted to make sure that as we're delivering this, that people can learn in the way that feels most natural to them, which is awesome. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I know a lot of people like really. Quay, do you have anything else to say about that?
I have to agree. Oh, sorry, with Susan. Almost tripped here. I have to agree with Susan. I mean, we are all unique and different, just like whatever we create is. And so our learning styles are also unique and different. And that, again, is why we have made the course easier to digest over a longer span of time. And then also, it's okay if you get stuck somewhere. It's not a big deal. Be forgiving of yourself and just keep moving on and go at your pace. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses, as they say.
Exactly.
Everybody comes into this at their own place, and you can't compare yourself to your neighbor. It's not healthy, first of all, but it's unrealistic. I mean, when you look at me on paper, I've had my business for almost 20 years, but I've really only had a business for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And it's very different. And so I don't even look at my business as a whole anymore. I cut it off at a certain point and say, this is what I'm benchmarking, because that was something different. It was this glorified hobby that I had. And really the business started much later.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. So so you started implementing the program. Let's talk about some of what were your favorite parts about the program?
Well, I think I touched on this earlier, but I really, really needed to hear about the DC, about your dream client. I really needed to hear that, because part of the atmosphere of art fairs is you're surrounded by all these other artists, and you can't help but compare yourself to what's going on around you. And again, all of the different factors that are out of your control all mount up to what your experience ends up being at an art fair. And that's not what you need to be focused on. So with regard to the dream client, it really helped me realize that I had a very good idea of who I was selling to, but I just kept ignoring it, listening to outside factors that were changing my focus. And once I realized that I needed to stay in my lane and stay focused on who my dream client was and why I was selling to them, it changed my experience at art fairs. I didn't stress about who was coming in and out of my booth. I didn't really care. It really was irrelevant, because I knew who that person was when I met them. And I approached everyone in the beginning like they were my dream client. And so even if I wasn't connecting to them in a way that they were going to purchase my work, I was still getting better at telling them who I was and what I was doing. And that just made all the difference in the world. That really was very life-changing. And then with regard to like module 2 and collections and designing collections, that really was very effective last year, because my whole way of doing business changed. Most of my work is one of a kind or similar but different, because of the way that I have structured things. Unfortunately, since the beginning, it's a little challenging to actually have a website of things that are all somewhat different. So I started designing in collections and releasing the collection. And that was very beneficial to revisit that and understand how you market a collection and how you give it, I don't want to say give it a personality, but you're, in a way you're kind of, you're influenced. Your collection is influenced by certain things, and communicating that to your clients, that's important.
Yeah. So you said a couple of really great things there. You talked about your dream client. Kathy in the comments is saying, I love that, approaching them as if they were your DC, based on a comment that you said earlier. But I also love that you were able to take what could potentially have been like a really rough year last year and just like, okay, now I know I need to sell online, and I'm going to change my approach to designing so that I can make this easier, and it's not going to require my shows. And so that's one of the beauties of the program, is that it really allows you to use this program as a reference tool and pivot when you need to, right?
Oh my gosh. I had a big pivot last year.
I want to hear about it. Let's hear about it.
So I had my plan. First it started out with getting rid of my side job, which I did in 2018. And then I needed to get back into metalsmithing so that I could get into better shows, which would allow me to scrap, probably about 30% of my shows or more. I wasn't sure how it was going to shake out. So I had gotten that far. And last year was me actually presenting that new work to the juries for the shows. And I was getting into all those shows that I had not yet been able to get into. So I was thrilled. March came around and I'm getting all my acceptance letters. And then the shows started canceling. And I was starting to panic because my plan was no longer valid. And I had to figure out how I was going to make up the income for last year. So it was very dicey for about 2 or 3 weeks because I'm like, how am I going to do this? It just so happened that the previous year I had started doing Facebook Live events.
Okay.
And they weren't really live. They were they were in the event page in the discussion. So I would post the pictures, and then I would, this year I started doing, I shouldn't say this year, at the end of last year, I started doing a live at the beginning of the sale where I would talk about everything, and then I would close with a live. But just because everybody's internet wasn't the same, it really was much easier for me to just post the items and then they could say whether they wanted to purchase them or not. But because I had done that already, I decided that, well, I know it's tried and true. We're going to jump in with that. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to go from there and see what happens. Yep. And so I started releasing collections. And by the end of the year, I was selling out every collection.
Wow.
My last 3 sold out.
Wow. That is awesome. So are these like one of a kind drops, or are they drops that were like reproducible?
Some of the items were reproducible and some were not.
Okay. That's amazing. Yeah. I love that strategy. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd love to know, has anyone done like the live event and stuff and that sort of thing on their own? You could just share in the comments if you're using that strategy or not, but I think it's a really great strategy. Now I would love to know a little bit more about like your results. So like we keep hearing these things, like how has your business grown since taking the program?
Okay. So, with regard to the business, my revenue streams I've diversified my revenue streams much more solidly. The website has been producing a lot more, although I had like a bump year in there. So from the first year, the 2017, it was really non-existent. And then the following year, I had an increase, but it really wasn't substantial. Not to where I wanted it to be, but that really wasn't my focus that year. So I was okay with it. But from 2017 to now, it's a 440% increase.
That is so awesome.
Which blew me away because, it just blew me away. And when I saw my fourth quarter numbers for last year, it was the best fourth quarter I've ever had.
Really?
Ever.
During a pandemic. I love it.
During a pandemic.
It was like, what do you think did it?
Really just paying attention to the numbers and knowing what I needed to do and staying in front of my customer. That was all I could do, is just stay in front of people. You can't sleep on the job. You can't get comfortable.
Yeah.
And I have a habit of like laying off social media on the weekends. I don't really communicate with my customers on the weekends. And I know that going forward, I'm going to have to change that in some way. And so I would get to the point where my weekend posts would end up being more about where I'm hiking or where I'm going, or, a picture of my dog, or even just the stuff that I would necessarily, because all of these people really are more my, they're more my family, more my friends than they are really customers. And I'm going to treat them. I'm just going to start, treating them like I would treat friends and family, instead of like holding them at a distance. This is me, this is who I am. And I think that's important too.
Well, that's part of what we were talking about throughout the whole challenge, was it's like, how can you connect on a personal level with the people in your audience? Because they want to know who you are. They want to see the behind the scenes and know a little bit about who Susan is and who Quay is, like the person behind the brand. So, and I also shared a case study on the masterclass too about Karina Harris, who's been a longtime student of ours. She had such significant sales increases like at the beginning of the pandemic, just from stepping out from behind her brand. And I think that people forget, they get nervous or they say I'm shy or that I'm an introvert. But I feel like those are just excuses. You know, Quay and I might be extroverts, like we like to be around people. I mean, I hope Quay likes to be around people. She's got like a lot of people in her household. And she also likes to like, you know, help with the community and stuff like that. And you want your customer service person to like people. So it's like a be around people. But the other thing too is that, that I think is really important is that people who literally hated sales so much before taking the program, now they're just like, oh my gosh, I love it now because I get to talk to people.
When you're doing it right, you aren't selling.
Yeah. It's just like sharing stories or like having a conversation and coming from a place of service. Quay, I know this.
Educating.
What?
Or educating.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, a lot of what I find at an art fair, and which is where I'm mostly in front of my customer, is when they ask me how much something is, I never, ever, ever respond with the cost. Ever. I tell them what they're looking at. I educate them first, and then I tell them how much it costs, because otherwise it just doesn't have any value. It doesn't really have a value. And it gets me, you know, talking, because sometimes like you can go through a lull where you won't see 5 people walk into your booth in an hour. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you go in and you kind of become an introvert, and then that person walks in and you're like, oh, you know, I have to like put on the pony, you know, dog and pony show. But if you're just talking and educating, it doesn't seem like you're actually doing that.
Oh, it's so awesome. That's so great. So is there anything else that you want to share about taking the program that you just loved and like helped your business?
Well, the fact that you can refer to it on and off at your leisure at any time, I mean, it takes the pressure off of taking notes and being, because sometimes, I mean, even though you want to be present every time you come on to a video or a live chat or a Q&A or an office hour, like for the DI, you know, you are human and you have a life, and I work at home and I have 3 kids, 3 teenagers and a dog and a cat. And, you know, like the doorbell rings and the house goes crazy. So the fact that you can refer back to the material and say, oh, I really didn't quite understand that because I was distracted. That's important. That's really important. And the support, I think the support of the community is really important as well. Just the fact that you have so many people who have been there and done that, that you can ask a question to, or, you know, or offer your own expertise. I mean, being a graphic designer, which by the way, it surprised the heck out of me how many graphic designers have turned jewelry designer.
Oh, really?
In the group, there's a lot of us.
Wow.
And that's surprising to me, but you know, the fact that, you know, they can throw a logo up there and say, what do you guys think? And I can actually tell them, well, this is my experience, you know, this is what I would do. Yeah. And be of service to some of the other people in the group.
And I love that because, you know, part of the experience is that you get 1 year access to the Diamond Insiders as part of your membership with Laying the Foundation now. And then after that, if you want to continue, you can join the community. It's awesome. But the thing that's amazing about that group is that everyone is really there to help each other and to answer your questions. So like someone like Susan or Quay, who's been, you know, through it all, they're going to come in there, like if you're asking a question, and help you look for the answer or get the answer that you need. And that is like my favorite part about this community. It's really, really awesome. So, I mean, I think I kind of know the answer to this, but would you recommend the program and if so, why would you recommend it?
Yeah, I absolutely would. I mean, I don't think it's for everybody. I'll be honest. I don't think it's for everybody. I think if you can't see yourself doing what you're doing in 5 years, well, I'm not sure it's for you. But if you want to design jewelry and just aren't sure what your next step is, it is definitely for you. I don't think that, one of the things that held me back as far as not being sure whether I wanted to take the course was the cost. I had to make that decision during my worst month, notoriously worst month. All the money goes out in January, February, and March because of show juries jurying into shows. So all my money leaves. I'm going to Tucson. I'm buying all the inventory for the year, and I have to decide whether I'm going to spend this amount of money on taking the course. And it was the best money I ever spent.
Oh, I love hearing that. Well, I think that a lot of people they are so willing to invest in a new tool or a bunch of beads or stones or materials, and they would spend thousands of dollars on that and not even blink twice. But like investing, like they see something like a, investment in a program that actually is going to help them be able to double, triple, 440% times increase their sales. And they're like, oh, that's too much money. And so I personally think it's a mindset shift. I think that, it is. And I understand it because I used to think that way too. Like, oh, this is the cost is too expensive, but it's really an investment in yourself and your business and your growth.
Right. And I found that I couldn't afford not to.
Yeah. Why is that?
It was great. I mean, a year later, I ditched my side job.
That's
so it
awesome.
paid for itself.
And I'm sure you were making more than $2,000 a year in your side job. So that means that your jewelry business replaced like a full part-time job income, which is awesome. That's amazing. Yes. That is amazing. Well, Susan, I am so happy for you. Congratulations. And I just want to remind everyone who is here, or if you're watching this later on the recording on one of our pages, that Laying the Foundation is open for enrollment. We just spent almost a year conceptualizing and revamping the program. This all started with me and Jess in our house, drawing on stickies in the walls, talking with the team, saying, what do you guys think? And getting this dialed into a program that we are so proud of. It revolves around our Desire Brand Effect methodology. And as I mentioned, in one of our big goals in revamping this program was to turn it into a bite-sized reference tool so that you could go back to, but that everything in the Desire Brand Effect is actually covered at a very minimum of the 100 level learnings. Because just like going to college, like when you're learning to be a chemical engineer, you wouldn't start taking advanced chemistry. You start with chemistry 101. So it's designed to help you layer and layer and layer on top as you continue to grow as a business owner. The program runs across 12 weeks. It's 9 modules with 3 implementation weeks. And if you join us today, we are giving a $200 discount and the StorySelling Framework. And if you're interested in learning more about that, you can type the word bonus in all caps in the comments below. And we'll send you the discount code link so that you can grab it. And if you type bonus and you're on another platform, then we will find you and send you the information as well. And the thing that I love about these 2 bonuses, number one, I think it's smart if someone's thinking about it, to actually save a little bit of money when you can. And that's part of the reason why we offer basically a 3-week money back guarantee. Take the program for 3 weeks. If it's not for you, we'll give you your money back. We get very low refunds because the program is so good. But also we give you lifetime access and any upgrade. So Susan bought this 2 years ago when we had just done another upgrade, and she gets access to this brand new upgrade, which is awesome. So keep in mind, anytime we upgrade or add things to the program, you get access to that. So this is an investment for now that lasts a very long time into the future. So I hope to invite you into the program. And if you're interested in learning more, you can feel free to reach out to us, type in the comments below. We've got you. Quite anything else that you want to share before we kind of wrap this up?
Sure. I mean, I cannot talk how great the StorySelling Framework bonus is in regards that we are offering today. That is a game changer. It is going to help you tell your story. So whether you're in person, on your website, however you are utilizing your story, it is going to help you tell it in your way. And I know that StorySelling Framework helped me And it's amazing, and laying the foundation too. I mean, I joined at the same time Susan did, and every year I revisit it thanks to the lifetime access. And it is amazing. Every year it changes my business because I discover something new about myself, my dream client, and my business. And I implement it, and it grows my sales.
I love it. Oh gosh. Well, thank you, Quay and Susan, for being here. Susan, I love hearing your story. Just thank you for taking the time to come in. And Kathy is asking, do you updated modules just replace the old ones in the system, or do we have to contact support? So Kathy, if you reach out to us, we're going to be actually sending an email on February 1st to give you access to the updated version of the program if you've already joined us before. So no worries there. And also, it will be actually held in a new member site because some people signed up for a cohort that we have. I would say the cohort that we have that started in the fall. So we're keeping the old member site open for a minimum of 3 weeks, and we're going there so we don't bump anyone out of like actually taking their version of the program. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. And once again, if you would like to get into LTF and you haven't joined us yet, type the word bonus in the comments below and you'll get a message in Messenger. If you are watching this in a Facebook group, we will come and find you and send you the link to the bonuses as well. So once again, if you sign up by the end of the day today, you get $200 off plus the story selling framework as a bonus. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I will talk to you soon. Have an awesome Friday, everyone. Bye.